Most people don't wake up feeling like a failure. They wake up feeling late to life, late to progress, late to becoming who they thought they would be. There's no explosion, no dramatic collapse, just a quiet pressure in the background that never really goes away. You look at your life and nothing is technically wrong. You're functioning, you're surviving, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and yet something feels off. Like you missed a turn somewhere, and you don't know when it happened. The strange part is this feeling doesn't come from doing nothing. It comes from doing a lot of things that don't move you forward. Days fill up easily. Distractions are endless. Time passes without resistance. And slowly, without noticing, you start falling behind the version of yourself you imagined. Not behind other people, behind you. Here's the first truth you need to hear. Feeling behind isn't about age. It's not about money. It's not about success. It's about direction. You can move fast in the wrong direction and still feel stuck. You can stay busy and still feel empty. You can make progress on paper and feel like you're going nowhere. Because progress without direction doesn't feel like progress. It feels like noise. Most people assume they feel behind because they started too late. That's not the real reason. You feel behind because for a long time, you avoided choosing a direction that scared you. So you chose comfort instead. Comfort is subtle. It doesn't feel like giving up. It feels like being reasonable. It tells you, now isn't the right time. You need to be more prepared. You'll start when things calm down. Comfort doesn't demand courage. It doesn't demand risk. It doesn't demand honesty. And that's why it's dangerous. Because while you're comfortable, time keeps moving. You don't notice wasted time while you're wasting it. You notice it later, when motivation doesn't come back, when energy feels lower than it used to, when you realize years passed without anything truly changing. That's when the feeling of being behind hits. Not because life attacked you, but because you waited too long to challenge yourself. Another hard truth. You don't feel behind because you lack motivation. You feel behind because you've broken trust with yourself too many times. Every time you said, I'll start tomorrow, and didn't. Every time you promised yourself change and chose comfort instead. Every time you avoided discomfort and called it patience. Over time, your mind learned something important. It learned that your words don't mean action. And when you stop believing yourself, direction disappears. This is why comparison hurts so much. You're not really comparing yourself to others. You're re-comparing who you are to who you know you could have been if you had acted sooner. That's what stings. Not jealousy, regret. Here's where most people lie to themselves. They say, I still have time. Sometimes that's true, but often it's not about time at all. It's about avoidance, because trying seriously forces you to face a terrifying possibility that you might fail even after giving your best. And failure hurts less than regret in the short term. So people delay, they stay busy, they stay distracted, they stay comfortable, until the feeling of being behind becomes permanent. But here's the part that most motivational content gets wrong. You don't escape this feeling with big goals. You don't escape it with hype. You don't escape it by finding your passion. You escape it by taking responsibility, quietly. Responsibility isn't dramatic. It doesn't feel empowering at first. It feels uncomfortable, awkward, heavy, because responsibility removes excuses. And excuses are comfortable. Responsibility sounds like this. This is my life. This is where I am. And whether I like it or not, I'm responsible for what happens next. Not yesterday. Not 5 years ago. Next, that's where control returns. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop asking, how do I catch up? Start asking, what is one direction I can commit to, even if it scares me? Not 10 things, not a perfect plan, one direction. Direction creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates change. But none of that happens without discomfort. You don't need to fix your whole life. You need to stop avoiding the one thing you know matters: the conversation, the decision, the habit, the action you keep postponing. That's where being behind comes from: avoidance. And here's the final truth. One day, you'll look back at this period of your life, at the moment when you were aware but undecided, and you will either feel relief that you finally chose discomfort, or regret that you waited for clarity instead of creating it. Clarity comes after action, not before. You're not behind because it's too late. You're behind because you've been standing still while telling yourself you were preparing. The moment you stop waiting is the moment you stop falling behind. What you do next matters more than what you've done so far.